A lot of people like to avoid clicking on the automation button, but in this video, I'm going to show you how automation and workflows are your new best friend. These are things that do workflows and actions in the background that you can set to really automate certain processes and elements within your business. Things like when it comes to setting up an appointment, somebody signs up, you schedule an appointment with you. You don't want to be sending them an email to remind them, don't forget about your appointment. Don't forget about your appointment. Your appointment is coming up. You can set an automation workflow for an appointment reminder. That's just one example of automation workflows. Another example I like to use is setting up workflows to create opportunities for your business. When a new lead comes in, where are they coming in from? You can have it all go into one central place so you can easily manage those new leads. You can also easily manage conversations. There are so many things that automations can do for you and your business. Think of it like a puzzle. I love that analogy. You've got a bunch of different pieces inside the software that you can mix and match or try to find the right ones that are going to fit to make the perfect workflow for your business. And it's all based on what we call triggers and actions. So let's go through the automation here so that way you can feel comfortable with automations and workflows and get started playing with it to see how effectively you can use this feature for your business. When you select automations, you're going to land on workflows. These would be a list of all the workflows you created. I recommend creating a folder. When you create a folder, it can organize workflows. For example, you could create a folder for all of your appointment reminders. You could create a folder for all of your forms or a folder for specific campaigns that you're running. Maybe they're seasonal, monthly, things like that. You can organize all of your workflows inside a folder to be able to find them and access them easily. Then you've got the button that says create a workflow, and we're going to be clicking that button here shortly. You can also copy workflow history. You can see your recent workflows. You can view it by a list. You can search a specific workflow, and you can use filters to see what workflows are in draft mode, published, or even paused. This is a great thing to look at because if you notice an automation isn't working, 99% of the time is it's left in draft mode. We'll be showing you some tips on how to make sure that you remember to publish your workflow when it's ready. Let's go ahead and create a workflow. There are already some pre-done workflows for you. You can select one from scratch. You can import from a campaign. You can add recipe bookings for appointments. Here's an auto miss call text back. Here's a birthday recipe, a drip sequence, frequently asked questions, Facebook Messenger. Another one, Fast 5 Lite, Fast 5, Google Business Messaging, list reactivation, long-term nurturing reactivation, sending reviews requests, webinar registrations, the recipe for IVR, and a no-show nurture. That's for people who don't show up for those appointments. But you can easily come in here and select any one of these recipes and work right off of that. Let's select the appointment reminder recipe. This will get us jumped right into the actual workflow itself. You'll see your back button to get back to the workflows. You can select this little dial to see stats when it comes to your workflows. Delivered, open, clicked, replied, bounced. Check this out. So that's how many emails. This could be texting. You can turn that button off if you don't want to see your stats. The builder is where it brings you. You'll see the blue underline right here. Settings is where you set the settings for the entire workflow. I want to go through this real quick because it's very important. Allowing re-entry, or do you want to allow people to come back into the workflow? If you're testing the workflow, you may want to turn this on because if you're using your own email, you want to make sure that if you're saying, I'm not getting things, it's because it's not allowing you to re-enter into the workflow that you're testing. I would have this turned on while you're building your workflow, and then you can turn it off when you're ready if you don't want people to re-enter the same workflow. Stop on response means it ends the workflow if a contact responds to a message. This is good if you don't want them to receive any more messages inside the workflow. I'll show you another quick tip on how to remove people from a workflow as well. Down here is going to be your time zone. So if you want to select the time zone of the workflow, you can select that here. Usually it can be the account time zone, what you set in your business profile, or the actual contact's time zone. I like to do it by the contact's time zone. That way they're getting it at the time zone that's perfect for them. Time window, there's a restriction. If you don't want to be sending certain things, turn on the time window, and this allows you to only send messages during a certain time frame or a time window. An example of this would be if you are closed on Saturday and Sunday, more than likely you're not going to want your automation to run because you may want to be able to respond or reply to somebody during the week. So you don't want an automation to run when you're not actively or someone on your team isn't actively there to be able to reply if somebody messages you. You can also set time windows. You can also check or uncheck all the individual days of the week. Inside the workflow, you can even set your general sending details. If it's a specific person from your team and you want to put the sender's name and their email, this means that all the automations in this workflow will come from the sender. You can always override this information inside your individual actions inside the workflow. And then right down here, this is really important when it comes to conversations. In conversations, all of your new conversations show up in your inbox. If you select Mark as read, they're going to show in the Mark as read inbox. Turning this on allows you to not clog up your inbound conversations with marketing and workflow campaigns that are being sent out. You want to leave your conversations inbox open for the people that reply to your automations, not the ones that you send out. So I would toggle this to Mark as read, so that way you're not seeing all the email communications or SMS communications you're sending out, and you can focus on your inbox. Next, we have enrollment history. As soon as we have people enrolled into your workflow, this is where you'll see the contact information, the date enrolled, their current action, where they're at and the status, and when's the next execution. You get a visual version of this when you select your builder. There'll be a little person icon right here to show you how many people are within a certain step. You can also select by certain days, certain events, if it's been executed, failed, finished, process, waiting. You can see all of them. You can also select by specific contact who's in here, and then you can always refresh your enrollment list. Execution logs is the same thing. The only difference is it shows you a history of who's been in and out of your workflow. You can do the same thing by sorting by days, by sorting by actions, status, searching a contact, and refreshing this. These are great to look at first by setting up your builder and your settings, and then second, when you want to come and see how workflows are performing and the execution logs, it's all going to be right here. To the right, this is where you can set a test to test your workflow. You'll also see this right here, save with the little green. That's allowing you to save the workflow to let you know your workflow has been saved. Remember earlier when I told you that 99% of the problems happen when your automation doesn't work? This is that little publish button I was talking about to make sure you select the dial to publish and save to make sure that your workflow is live and ready to go.